What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports, where I come to you a very sad man, a defeated man, a heartbroken fan, and just a absolutely disgusted Phillies fan, utterly gutted in everything from what has transpired from today's events. You know, I woke up today. It was a good day. Good morning. Good early afternoon. Chilling. Doing my thing. Maybe turned on the Phillies game. I wasn't able to tune into it on time. Watching a little morning television as well. Then, I went on to Twitter. Then, I saw some Twitter updates that I didn't like. Then, I turned on my Xfinity stream to put on the Phillies spring training game that I didn't start yet. And then, I see Rhys Hoskins on the field. Then, I see the tweets. Then, I see the cart come out. And I see all the teammates huddled all over him. Then I see Rhys Hoskins carted off the field. In that moment, watching the replay, no contact. It was just a freak accident. This crap happens from time to time. Sadly, it happened to Rhys in that very moment as he was trying to field a fly ball, I believe, or a ground ball. Couldn't remember at the time. Puts an awkward plant in his left leg as he's going to field the ball. His leg just gives out on him. He's down, holding his knee. Everyone's silent. The entire team's out there on the field. Then you see the car come out. Everything in that moment led me to believe the worst case scenario. It led every Phillies fan to believe the worst case scenario. Like, I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking that. At that point, we didn't know anything that was going on. The Phillies immediately say that he was going under for an MRI. You know, we heard the stuff from Rob Thompson during the game, talking to the broadcast, that in the moment it looked bad. Saw him walking around in the dugout in the clubhouse, so maybe that's a good sign. And then directly after the game, they said they would have something. They didn't, but they would let us know as soon as they get the information. And then we figure out the information. And upon reading that, just completely devastated. 4-1 Rhys Hoskins. And I'll read the tweet right here. If you guys didn't happen to see it, I'm sure most of you guys saw the update and everything that happened today, but we'll have to relive those events for a little bit right here. So, here's the official tweet from the Philadelphia Phillies regarding Rhys Hoskins' MRI. Phillies first baseman Rhys Hoskins underwent an MRI today that revealed a left knee ACL tear that will require surgery. The recommended surgery is an ACL reconstruction. Additional details regarding that surgery, the date, and surgeon are to be determined. Yes, they didn't post anything regarding how long he's going to be out for. I'm sure all that stuff is going to be, gone through as he gets the surgery from everything like that, so they can tell us the recovery time. But we're not going to see Rhys Hoskins this year. There is, in my opinion, 100%, 99.9% no shot that Rhys Hoskins plays baseball this year in the regular season or the playoffs. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. I feel for Rhys, because he was going into a contract year. He was ready to prove himself to make that big payday. You know, he got to his first postseason last year, had a lot of great moments. He actually looked really good this spring, hitting a lot of balls hard, some bombs as well. And just a freak accident. Just ruins the entire thing. Ruins his entire season. I'm so gutted for him. I just can't imagine what he's feeling in that scenario. And that's just a huge loss for this Phillies lineup, where you're already going into the season without Bryce Harper. Even though there were maybe some positive news on that track, he might, make some progress to come back before the All-Star break, but I'll see it when I believe it. And then you hear the news about Ranger Suarez. He's still feeling some inflammation in his elbow. The MRI revealed that there was no tears or anything, so they're just going to let him rest that elbow until he's ready to go for the start of the year. It's just another loss for the lineup that you just desperately didn't need. Now, if I'm talking about the overall build of the lineup, I still firmly believe that you have enough. But losing Rhys Hoskins, man, that's a crucial loss for your offensive production. You're missing a guy that can get you 30-plus home runs, 80, 90-plus RBI. A guy that can literally go on hot streaks and carry the offense for weeks on end. We all know the very hot and the very cold streaks of Rhys Hoskins. But when Rhys is going, he carries this team. He's one of the biggest leaders in the clubhouse. He's probably the leader in the clubhouse. And I'm sure everyone right now is just gutted. They're devastated, and they just don't know how to feel. All Phillies fans basically feel that same way. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, because I wanted to see him go out and prove himself to earn that big contract. And sadly, he's most likely not going to get the chance this year. It's just gutting. It's gut-wrenching. Like, there's no other way to describe it. It's such a crucial loss for your lineup. And I feel like there's some people out there that, you know, the typical Rhys Hoskins haters that are probably going to go through this year and realize what they're missing in that lineup. Because there's so many people out there, oh, he sucks at defense, oh, he's not that good of a hitter, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. You're going to realize what you're missing throughout the year now without Rhys Hoskins. Like I said, you're missing a guy that can hit you 30-plus home runs. Where else is that going to come from the lineup? Where else? You're missing 80 to 90-plus RBIs. Where else in the lineup is that going to come from? Because right now, when you lose Rhys Hoskins, yes, I do believe Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, those guys, like seriously, Trey Turner, his performance in the World Baseball Classic was epic. All the home runs that he was hitting, the way that he got hot, I still feel like Phillies fans don't believe that Trey Turner is a Philly, but yes, he definitely is a Philly. And it's very excited to see him. All the stuff that he's been doing in spring training. He even hit another home run today. I feel like that's what, 5 to 6 home runs in his past 5-6 games. Like, that dude's on a streak right now, and hopefully he can carry that into the start of the season. We all know what Kyle Schwarber is capable of. Hit a big home run, deja vu off Yu Darvish in the final championship game against Japan. Basically, that entire game for Team USA was just all the Phillies doing the work. Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber with the only runs on solo shots in that game. As you're seeing, Shohei Ohtani go up against Mike Trout in a very epic final out. Shohei Ohtani throws the nastiest pitches I've ever seen. The nastiest slider to strike out Mike Trout. And it was just an epic moment for baseball. It was. I had goosebumps watching that entire moment. That was epic. It really was. But Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, no worries about those guys. They're going to do their thing. But then when you look at the other parts of the lineup, you're putting a lot more pressure on some other guys. Especially Nick Castellanos. Now at Rhys going down, Nick Castellanos really needs to have a bounce-back season. Has to. He can't do what he did last year. 13 home runs. He can't be doing that. We need 20, 25 home runs out of Nick Castellanos. We need at least 80 RBI out of Nick Castellanos. He desperately needs to bounce back this year. Because you lost all that production with Rhys. And that puts a lot of pressure on Alec Bohm too. Because if you had Rhys Hoskins in this lineup, he does his thing. The 30-plus home runs, the 80-plus RBI, whatever. And then you complement that with a Nick Castellanos bounce-back season and possibly Alec Bohm, who added that, weight and muscle. Maybe adds you another 10-plus home runs. He gets to the 20 mark, possibly. He can prove to you that he's a 20-plus home run type of guy. That's just, the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake there. Now the pressure is added to those guys. Now they really need to prove it to themselves. Nick Castellanos really needs to bounce back and showcase to us what we signed into that contract. And Alec Bohm needs to prove to us that he can hit for more power. He needs to prove to us that he could be a 20 home run guy. Then I'll, Stott taking another step forward, Brandon Marsh taking another step forward. I'm comfortable with Trey Turner. I'm comfortable with Kyle Schwarber. I'm comfortable with JT doing their thing. They're going to do their thing the entire year. Trey Turner is going to be an MVP type of player. Kyle Schwarber is going to mash all the home runs possible in the world. And JT Realmuto, he's just going to continue to be the best catcher in baseball. Now you got to figure out what to do with the missing part at first base. Who do you slot in there? There's definitely some question marks, but most likely, I think probably the best case scenario that they're most likely going to do is you slot Derek Hall there, who's been also having a very nice spring training, hitting a lot of home runs, trying to prove himself to make the opening day roster. You slot Derek Hall in there at first base, majority against right-handed pitching because he can't hit lefties for shit. And then you place, on days when you play left-handed hitters, you slot Alec Bohm over there at first base actually, and then you put in Mundo Sosa over there at third against lefties. And then basically you could just continue rotating through the DH spot. Give Kyle Schwarber a day off from the field, give Castellanos a day off from the field, give Bohm a day off from the field, JT a day off from catching. So there's definitely a lot of things that you can go through there. A lot of guys that are be going on the bench. Jake Cavey's been having himself a nice spring. Sosa's going to be on the bench. Who else could possibly be on the bench? I'm trying to think of the entire thing. I can't even think of it. Does Scott Kingery make the bench? I'm trying to think of the entire, Derek Hall. I forgot to bring up Derek Hall. Well, he's most likely going to be a majority starter at first base against right-handed pitching. There's just a lot of things that you lose from Rhys Hoskins. It's devastating. Because like I said earlier, he can go on just paces, streaks, where he just carries the offense. He's had those moments from last season. In the mid parts of the summer. If you go back to last year, when Bryce Harper went down, June Kyle Schwarber, then you sprinkle in a couple of moments from Rhys Hoskins, Alec Bohm in July, JT Realmuto from basically the second half on. Everyone had their bits in play of carrying the team last year. But now that you'll subtract Rhys, and you won't be getting Bryce Harper back most likely until after the All-Star break. I know they're saying that he could possibly return before the All-Star break if everything goes right. But like I said, I'll see it when I believe it. Sprinkle in Trey Turner doing his thing the entire year. Kyle Schwarber is going to have his down moments. He's going to have his great moments too. We all know what Kyle Schwarber does when the weather gets warm. We all know what it does when that calendar month turns to June 1st. Kyle Schwarber. So, I'm not worried about those guys. Not worried about JT. The most important people right here in this lineup right now, Nick Castellanos and Alec Bohm. And that's a lot of pressure for them to pick up the slack from Rhys Hoskins. From not having him. It's a tough task. But at this point, you have no choice. You need more production from those guys. Nick Castellanos to have a major bounce back season. I'm not even saying put up the MVP numbers that he did with the Reds in his final year. Give me 20, 25 home runs. Same thing with Bohm. 20, 25 home runs. And if you can slot in 80 plus RBI. Nick Castellanos have a better average. Hit doubles, get extra base hits. We know he's not going to draw walks. He's going to strike out a lot. If you can get at least above 280 average, doubles everywhere, singles, hitting those 20, 25 home runs and knocking in those runs, I'll be satisfied with that. Same thing with Alec Bohm. If he can prove he has more pop in that bat, which he has shown in spring training, but he needs to prove it in the regular season. Can he pull the ball for power instead of forcing it to the other way? Can he be a 20 home run guy? We know he can drive in runs. He's really good with runners in scoring position, but can he get the big bombs? Can he get a 3-run run? Can he get a grand slam when needed? He needs to prove more power. And then, like I said, for the rest of the guys, Bryce and Stott just to continue to improve on what he did at the end of the year last year. And same thing with Brandon Marsh. Continue to improve on what you did when you got traded over here. It's all you can ask from those guys. Stott is still young. Still hard to demand a ton from him. Basically, you're just looking for improvements. Same thing with Marsh. And then for Derek Hall, he was good in his stint last year when he had to be called up. Big guy with a lot of power from the left side of the plate. Still can't hit lefties, but he provided you some much-needed power off the bench. And when he needed to start, like I said, provided that much-needed power. He looked good in spring training. He's looked good in spring training this year. Can he find a way to do that? Show some confidence. He's got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out. It just sucks. It really does. And seriously, too, if you're looking around the entirety of baseball, like, what the hell is with the leg injuries? Like, what the hell is with people's legs exploding? You get Gavin Lux from the Dodgers tearing his ACL running from second to third base. You get Edwin Diaz in the World Baseball Classic during a celebration for the Dominican Republic, I believe. During the celebration, his leg blows up. He has to get carried off the field in a wheelchair. You see his brother on the team crying and all that stuff. He's out for the year for the Mets. That's a huge loss for them. Now Rhys. Like, seriously. Like, what is going on with the major injuries so far? And then with the other injuries, like, some people got injured during the World Baseball Classic. I know a lot of people like to argue about that. The World Baseball Classic is meaningless and all that. I don't give a crap about that. It was fun. It was an enjoyable time. I do believe at the end of the day, it is good for baseball. And seriously, that matchup between Shohei and Mike Trout in the final game for the final out, that was epic. That was insanely epic. But a lot of people here now on this roster, they need to pick up the slack. I know there's some other guys that are dealing with injuries. I know Stubbs has been dealing with an injury since the World Baseball Classic. I believe it's a knee injury or something like that. Ranger Suarez is dealing with his inflammation. I know there's a couple of bullpen arms that are dealing with some as well. I know Rafael Marchand, basically the backup catcher, is dealing with a major injury as well, I believe. So, yeah, you're getting hit with injury bugs basically all around baseball. I guess this is what happens when you go through the course of spring training. Some guys are just going to get injured. That's basically how everything plays. And you're going to see those freak accidents, like what happened to Edwin Diaz, like what happened to Gavin Lux, and now what's happened to Rhys. It sucks. It's gut-wrenching. But at the end of the day, you got to go through the next man up mentality. It's what you have to do. Nick Castellanos, Alec Bohm. Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber are going to do their thing. JT as well. You need those guys to pick up what's missing until Bryce Harper gets back. And Bryce Harper is definitely not going to be, MVP level Bryce Harper as soon as he gets back. What he did in the playoffs is going to take a little bit for him. Because he hasn't been basically seen anything since the playoffs. Until he starts hitting off the tee, until he goes down for his assignments, Basically that. It's tough. It really is. Like, I'm gutted for Rhys. I'm devastated. Going into a contract year. Trying to get those big bucks. The big contract. Whether he was going to sign it with the Phillies or not. Like, I just hate to think that his final moment in a Phillies uniform possibly is him tearing his ACL. I just don't want to think that. I don't know what happens in the offseason with him. That's still a very long way down the road. The recovery time, I'm sure he's going to miss the entire year. I am 100% sure that's going to be the case. But it's just, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. Because you already lost Bryce for half the year. And now you lose Rhys for basically the entire season. And basically we were talking about, for, the past couple of weeks since basically spring training started, where the Phillies were going to fight for in this division. Like, can they possibly be, a battle to win the NL East? I think that gets a little more difficult now. I still think at the end of the day they make the playoffs. I still think they have enough talent to get through, especially when you get Bryce back in the lineup. Your bullpen's much better than it was last year. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with some starting pitching depth, lack of it, through the start of the year with Ranger Suarez and all that stuff. Because if you're looking at the rotation right now without Ranger, you're most likely using, Aaron Nola's the opening day guy, Zack Wheeler 2. You're going to have to put Taijuan Walker as your 3 for the time being until Ranger's ready. Bailey Falter as your 4. And then I think what the Phillies said, or what I think it was Todd Zalecki or McElwire or someone like that, or Mac Elber or someone like that, that had said Matt Strahm could possibly have to be your 5th starter in that scenario. Because we still know with the Andrew Painter situation, he's still shut down for a little bit. So, yeah, you're going to have to deal with some lack of depth in the starting pitching area until, your guys get ready, until Ranger's healthy. So you're getting a little bit of a punch right here to start the year. Got to see how you bounce through it. Got to see how you adjust. So that's basically the bottom line there. Just sucks. I just hate to see that for Rhys. Doesn't deserve it. Doesn't deserve it. For all the people here in this city that hate him, they're gonna see, rightfully so, what they're missing from Rhys. You're missing a guy that can get you 30+ home runs. I'll say, he's not a good defender and all that stuff. Bullshit. Yeah, he's not a good defender. He's one of your best offensive producers. With the power and the run driving in capability. It's a joke how people treat him in this city. It's a joke. Unbelievable. My God. My goodness. We do have some voicemail here on the Anytime Hotline. I'll also get to some of you guys in the live feed here. I see a couple of you in here. So we do have a call here from Sean. You can also leave your texts and voicemails at the hotline, 215-839-9885. It's on the bottom of your screen currently. If you want to leave any thoughts for, any game recaps, any breaking news and all that stuff, any streams that happen in the future, definitely leave those there. So let's go to Sean and let's see how he's going to react on this Rhys Hoskins news.
So I just get home from work today and I see your post, Amadeo, so I'd like to thank you for delivering the bad news. First of all, prayers up for Rhys. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to speculate as to the severity of it, but I'll say when they've got to cart you off the field and your teammates gather around you, it doesn't look good. Where do the Phillies go from here? The only saving grace to me is that they have Dave Dombrowski. If anybody can pull a diamond out of the rough and find a plug-and-play option to go with Derek Hall at first base, it would be Dombrowski. But I wouldn't use the word funny, but I was thinking about it today, with a lot of Eagles off-season talk, and the talk about how their defense isn't going to be as good next year and that the offense is going to have to carry them. I was thinking about that with the Phillies starting pitching. You have the injury to Suarez, the injury to Painter. They were going to have to win games like 7-5, 8-6. And now you throw in Rhys Hoskins' injury on top of Harper. I mean, it's tough to win a war when you don't have a lot of soldiers to fight with. So I'm hoping things turn around for the Phillies, but right now things are pretty bleak.
I mean, I feel you there, Sean. I perfectly understand you. I'm sure you left the voicemail before the news came out about his ACL tear when it was official. But, yeah, Dave Dombrowski definitely is a guy that I can trust to find a way to fix this situation. Most likely they're going to be using Derek Hall against righties on those days. That'll be most days. And then once you eventually face the left-hander, you'll put Bohm most likely at first base. You'll move Sosa off the bench to third base because Derek Hall can't hit lefties for anything. So that's probably the situation or the most likely scenario that I would think they do. And, if it's not going the best that you could possibly think of, I'm sure Dave Dombrowski will probably find a way to work the trade market and find a replacement for the first base side. So that's definitely something where you're going to have to think about. Starting pitching depth is going to be an issue to start the year, especially with the Ranger issue. So that's something they're going to have to work around. Like I said, Nola, Wheeler, Walker, Bailey Falter, who actually did have a nice appearance in spring training today against the Tigers. And then most likely your fifth starter until Rangers ready is going to be Strom. Are you going to be dealing with some bullpen games here? Going to have to figure that out. Your bullpen's definitely majorly improved from last year, so your bullpen's going to be a lot better. I guarantee that, hopefully. That's a knock on wood situation. And, yeah. Like I said, I do think they still have enough talent to compete. No doubt. It definitely looks very bleak right now, but that's just like in the moment reaction from everyone. I still believe they have enough talent to compete, especially once Harper comes back. Even though he's not going to be fully, MVP level Bryce Harper as soon as he gets back. But still, it's Bryce Harper. Once he gets it going, it's a fun time. Trey Turner's going to do his thing the entire year. Schwarber, when the weather gets warm. JT's going to do his thing. And then you just got to hope from everyone else. They provide their chips. Nick Castellanos bouncing back. Alec Bohm providing more power. Bryson Stott continuing to move forward. Brandon Marsh continuing to move forward. Got to hope from those guys. And what Derek Hall can do at first base in this scenario. He's getting a big task right here. He got called up last year in that situation when Bryce got hurt, and he provided. Now he's got another chance for him to come up into the big club in a big spot because you're losing a big piece in Rhys Hoskins. Can Derek Hall supplement that power and find the power stroke not comparable to Rhys, but satisfactory? And just something that could be reliable in this lineup. I believe Derek Hall can do that. It's a lot of pressure for the guy. But he proved that he can do it last year. He proved that he can hit major league pitching. See what he can do. I'm still very confident in this team. They're hitting a lot of bumps in the road. A lot of freaking potholes in the road at this point. But you gotta overcome it. Good teams overcome these things. And I believe this team can find a way to figure it out. We just gotta wait and see. See you guys in the live feed right here before we end this off. Who's going to be playing first base now? That'll most likely be Derek Hall. I'm sick to my stomach. Yeah, I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you, Jose. Let's get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in a Phillies uniform in 2025. I doubt Toronto, even at that point, is going to be willing to let Vladdy go. Got to extend Nola. Yeah, I'm sure that's on Dave Dombrowski's radar. Castellanos bounce back. Bohm, Stott, Marsh, all take a step forward, please. Exactly. Bohm has been figuring out at third, so moving him to first might not be the best move but one of our few best options. I think it's going to have to go in that case because, Derek Hall can't hit left-handed pitching. Unless he figures it out and proves it to us that he can. You're just going to have to, put Derek Hall in against righties. And then you put in Bohm at first base and you put Sosa first. Because honestly, you can't put Sosa at first base because that takes away good defense from the rest of the positions. Your best possible chance to use his defense is over at third because you're not moving Trey Turner, you're not moving Bryce Stott. So, put Bohm at first, Sosa at third. Stott needs to get it going as well. I'm confident Stott will progress. Definitely. Yeah, I don't blame you, Mr. W. I gotta understand you not feeling good. But yeah, that's where we stand right now. Hit a major bump in the road, major pothole in the road. But we will figure out a way to overcome it. So that's going to do it for tonight, everybody. It sucks seeing this entire thing with Rhys Hoskins, but I'm devastated for the guy. I wish it didn't happen. But sadly, this shit happens sometimes. And you got to figure out how to overcome it. This Phillies team needs to figure it out. I believe they will. They still have enough talent. And we just got to see how things progress. So, thank you for joining tonight, everybody. Thank you for joining the live feed as always. I appreciate it. Do not forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. I like to see those. Do not forget to check out everything in the description down below. Also, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. We've been gaining a lot of subscribers lately, so let's try to get it closer to 700. We're closer to 650, so let's get it even closer to the 700 total. And then eventually, once we get past there, it's just even closer and closer to 1,000. Join the TTP Sports family. I definitely recommend it. Also, use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Use it for anything you can think of, concerts, sporting events. It's a great deal. Do not pass it up. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining tonight. We're all sad here, but we'll break through. Thank you, everyone, for joining.